For the fourth time. There we go.
You go.
How are you feeling after a performance like that?
I'm good. There's always, I'm always my biggest critic. There's always things I feel like I could do differently. Definitely a weird situation when it's a friend, so you have to change the dynamics how you do things. But all in all, I saw an opportunity. I seized it. Ilima and I talked. We knew that in any situation, if she was in that same position, she would have to do the same thing.
How did it feel in the fight? Because I know you go in knowing I'm fighting a friend, I'm fighting a teammate. But how was it when you were actually in there, especially seeing her hurt through most of it?
Yeah, definitely at the end is when it really all crashed and I was able to take it all in. In the midst of the fight, I was just trying to treat her like an opponent, just make sure that I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. But as soon as that kick was thrown, it was dropped, and I saw the ref stepped in, that veil that was separating and changing the emotion from everything was able to fall away and just see her. And I was upset with the ref. He's like, get away from her. I'm like, excuse me? I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm trying to check on her. We've talked about this. She's not going to be upset that I'm there hugging her.
What did you guys say to each other afterwards?
Just said that we love each other. She just said, don't feel bad. There's no apologies for what you did. And I just told her to keep her head up and that she was an absolute savage and a beast.
Was there any surprises in there? I know that's somebody you know very, very well, so maybe not, but...
Yeah, we haven't trained together in about 2 years or so, and I know that she's been working a lot of her Muay Thai, so her throwing a body kick, honestly, was something I was really surprised about, because Ilima hates kicking. Her throwing any leg kicks was super impressive, so that came as a surprise, and it was honestly nice and refreshing to see her changing things up and adding more stuff to her game.
And we couldn't hear back here, so I apologize if you've already explained this, but who would you like to fight next, and when would you like to get back in there?
I'm going to take some time with my family. Every time that I'm in fight camp, I go away to the East Coast for 2 months to be away and to just concentrate on the fight for 2 to 3 months. And so I haven't seen my son. I haven't seen my wife. They've been going through a lot, so I want to spend some time with them. Hopefully enjoy the holidays, because I don't usually get to do that. And then next year, I'd like to start ramping it up, and I'd love to face Kana Watanabe in Japan. It's my dream. It's my bucket list is to fight back home. I want to go home.
And I know there's a lot of kind of ups and downs. We don't know what's happening with Bellator. We don't know if there will be Bellator, if it will be in a different venue. What would you like to see happen? Would you like to see everything kind of stay the same, or would you like to see a change and see some new excitement?
Yeah, I'm always open for change. Having been in this game for so long and been a part of so many purchases and changes, I'm just grateful that I'm still living this life and enjoying every moment. And if we're under a new banner and it happens to be a PFL that happens to do the buyout, great. My biggest hope is that they open up a 135 division, whether that's here in Bellator or in another organization. That's my dream, is to be able to hold a belt in the 135 division now in addition to 125.
Liz, right over here. We saw a matchup between great friends and training partners earlier this year in the PFL between Hausch Manfio and Nathan Schultz. How, if at all, was it different for you inside that cage, fighting a good training partner and friend in Ilima-Lei Macfarlane?
No, I really went into it just trying to make sure I did everything calculated and smart. I knew ultimately where she wanted to be was on the ground, so I knew that I had to be smart with not overcommitting on strikes, not overcommitting on kicks, and even if I saw openings for kicks to the head, opening for kicks to the body, but I knew that that's what she was hoping for, is to just be able to fall on a kick and take it to the ground. I mean, she was willing to almost Berimbolo roll, just be able to get something, and not that that's not where I feel comfortable. I have finishes on the ground. I feel really confident there. I wanted to play to my strengths, and I knew that I could finish it on the feet or look for an opportunity to just finish her with an open strike somewhere. So I was just trying to play it smart, and then, like I said, as soon as that veil was fallen, the fight was done, then I could look at her as the friend that she is and somebody I care about.
Absolutely, and it seemed like both of you guys started off a little bit on the slower hand in the first 2 rounds. Would you attribute that to being so familiar with one another in the training room, or would it be more just on the side of caution?
I'd say that it would be 2 things. I certainly think that going with somebody that I've trained with for so long, it certainly plays a role into it, just knowing the openings that they've seen before and wanting to be cautious and not make mistakes and not do things that I've done before in the training room. But it was also just wanting to pick her apart and wear her out. I knew that I had the cardio to dance around the cage for as much time, and I know under that, like most people, when they start to get frustrated, is they overcommit and they tend to make mistakes. So I was trying to make her make a mistake that I could capitalize on.
Awesome, and last one from me. You did mention the hopes of the Bellator to open up a 135-pound division for the ladies, and something that I was thinking about was, would you ever consider even moving up to 145 and challenging Cyborg for that belt?
There's no way. I don't even walk around at 145. So the possibility of she cuts, and I know she's an enormous woman that puts her body through more than I think most fighters do to make it to 145. And so I'd just be walking there fully clothed onto the scale. That just doesn't make sense. I'm too short, even in the 125 division. I'm one of the shorter fighters. So for me to move up to a weight class knowing that I'm belly button level to people just doesn't make sense. 135 would be the dream.
What's up, Liz? Right over here. Are you still buying Ilima-Lei dinner tonight?
I think she had to go to the hospital. I'm hoping that everything clears with her and she's fine. It was just, just landed in the right spot and that she's okay. And if that's the case, absolutely, of course, I'm going to buy her dinner. I'm going to be hanging out with her tomorrow, too.
Yeah, maybe breakfast or brunch tomorrow.
Exactly.
How much more special was it for this fight to be in San Diego?
It was so special to have. I could hear my family, my friends. I was trying to tune them out, and it's so weird when I have been doing this for almost 14 years, and for the most part, I've always fought in places where my family and friends weren't able to attend for one reason or the other. This is the first time I've done it hometown for a place that I've evolved and that I've considered home for almost 18 years now. So it's definitely just a wonderful feeling to be able to do this in family and friends and know that I came out there with the win and I can smile with them, and they can all know that there is no malintent for so many people that were splitting on the fence, like, who do I root for? I'm like, just root for us to be healthy coming out of this. That's all you have to do. So it was great to do that here in San Diego, to do it in front of military personnel. It's amazing.
That's awesome. And then last thing for me, none of us really know, even the media, we don't know what's going on with Bellator. Fighters don't know. But when you look back on this amazing tenure, the stint you've had with the Bellator banner, what can you say, looking back, just talk about your time here from start to finish, or not finish, but.
Yeah, coming into Bellator, I wanted to start a new chapter and do things differently. I had been coming off of what I would say was just kind of a lull in my career and just not being able to perform at the level that I needed to when I was in the UFC. And when I left and I came to Bellator, I'm like, I'm not going to be that person anymore. Going to decisions, not having finishes, not performing to the level that I know I can just isn't an option anymore. The fans don't want to see it. I don't want to be that person. Playing safe just doesn't make sense. So I've come into Bellator proud of everything that I've done, finishing now 6 of my 7 fights. And I want to keep doing that, whether that's with PFL, Bellator, or whatever other organization is willing to step up and to be able to take care of all these fighters and take us under their arm.
Liz, right here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know what? I think one thing's glazed over is that this is your protege. This is someone you saw walk in the gym, phone calls and all that, and bring her in. And she's in there with you for a title fight. I mean, can you even talk about the progress she's made from day one to the woman you're in the cage with tonight?
Yeah, first of all, the progress that she made wasn't just over her professional career. The progress she made was in such a short time of being in that gym. I got to see her start off as having to learn what her fighting stance was because she had wrestled, but it's not the same as your fighting stance. And then how quickly she adapted and committed herself to the idea that this is going to be a professional full-time career, and how she changed her whole lifestyle to do that. And then watching as she built up the 125 division. Bellator's 125 division for women was non-existent before Ilima. She built it up, she did everything great by it, and she showcased what it meant to be a champion and treated fighters with so much respect no matter what happened. And then each fight you just see her pull off these super cool finishes, showing off the 10th planet system with all these cool things. She's grown so much, and I knew going in there with as much growth as she had, it wasn't going to be an easy fight. I've trained with her, I know how it was, and then I've seen her. I knew that tonight was going to be a difficult one, even just putting aside our emotional investment in each other, just for how much she's grown as a fighter.
Now, she's obviously talked a bit about, being at the end of the career, maybe not, and everything else, and then now, obviously, her health and checking in on her knee. Would you like to see her go out there one more time, maybe one more card in Hawaii, or what are your thoughts, if any, that you'd like to share about her future?
Yeah, I would hate for this to be how she goes out. For one, like I'd said in all my interviews leading up to this fight, I would just want to choke her and have her go to sleep and not be injured. The last thing I want to do is blow out her knee or whatever happens to be going on with her leg. That's the last thing I want. I want her to be able to come back and be able to take on another fight and go out under her terms. And again, show off a great finish that everybody can enjoy.
And then finally, to talk about you, I mean, so many years in the game, obviously Pioneer, Strikeforce, UFC, now here in Bellator, and you're still going. And now you just outpaced your protege, and now you're talking about, hey, 2-division champion, I'm not done. I mean, what's the secret to your longevity just this many years in when obviously the grind can catch up to people?
Yeah, it's, for one, the love of the sport. I think people will say that they love it, but they don't love growth. Like the fight for me is the accumulation of everything that I've done leading up to it. I love being in the gym every day. It's what I look forward to. It's my sanity, it's my happy place, and it's learning new things, seeing somebody new come in that shows me something. Somebody that's been there for 30 years doing it, showing me something. There's always an opportunity, and I love that about this sport. There's always new things that I can learn. That's something that keeps me having a fire lit within me. And then I've honestly been doing stem cell. I go down to the CPI Stem Cell Institute at Chipsa Hospital, and I feel like that has helped my body so much in being able to recover and do things right and be able to stay here stronger than ever.
Liz over here. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
Ilima-Lei had a little bit of a rough week this week with the weight miss. She said that the first person she contacted was you. What advice did you give to her as a good friend?
I just let her know that, for one, like, it was no hard feelings. For one, I've faced multiple opponents before where they haven't made weight, and I'll see them and they're like, yeah, I'm good, and they show up 11 pounds over. I'm like, that's not good. You're not anywhere close to making weight. She at least was like, hey, I'm kind of struggling, and let me know going into this. So there's never a doubt in my mind. And I've had other opponents do the same thing. I respect that. You're forthright. You're not trying to trick anybody here and that you're going to make weight, right? So that I respect. And I told her, I was like, hey, I have any of my weight cutting stuff. I have a wet sauna. I have a dry sauna. If you want to use any of my stuff, I can come help you. You can use any of it. If you're done and your body can't take anymore, do what's healthy for you. I know you're close. Whether that means you want to keep cutting, I'll help you. If you're done, that's fine as well. Just do whatever's safe for you.
You're the first person to ever finish her in her career. How does that make you feel? And then will there be bragging rights when you guys finally do go do that dinner?
If her leg's okay, then yeah, there's bragging rights, and I can certainly say that. If her leg's not okay, it's a different feeling. She's still my friend. She's still somebody I care about. And in my head, I was going into this not wanting it to be a decision. I wanted it to be a finish, and I just wanted it to be a safe finish. So that's definitely something I can say with pride, knowing that she's cleaned out the division. Nobody's been able to do that. Thank you.
Hey, Liz, right here. How's it going?
Hey.
I spoke to you at Media Day. You talked about fighters, when they get the belt, sometimes they take their foot off the gas. It looks like you was on premium unleaded tonight. Just asking about something. It seems like your fighting style changed over the last two fights. We're not seeing the same going for takedowns wrestling. The striking was crisp. Who have you been working with on these last two fights that changed up your game plan?
I'm working with the same coaches, Charles Martinez and Vince Salvador. They're two phenomenal striking coaches that are underrated in the fight game. They're who I swapped to that had been my winning streak in Bellator. I train with them full time. I now live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I start my camp off here in San Diego, California with Vince and team at the arena, and then I head out to Virginia Beach and I train with Coach Charles. They were always about adapting and growing. We try and incorporate new things. Vince will see something, he's like, this looks wild. I think you could pull this off. Let's try it. I'm like, yeah, let's incorporate it into training. Let's see if we can do it. All of us are all about evolution. There's no holding anybody back. If you want to go try and cross-train in a different gym, they encourage it in the hopes that you learn something that you can help the entire team with. And because of that, we're all able to thrive and just keep adapting and moving up forward.
All right, and another thing, we weren't able to get that dream submission that we talked about, that twister. But what's that dream meal looking like tonight?
It depends on how quickly I get out of here. The sooner I can get out of here, I can go find that dream meal.
And last but not least, one more thing. You did talk about, defending the belt and getting another belt in another division. Would you be considering moving up or moving down if that's the case?
Moving down isn't a possibility. 125 is a rough cut. I play it off, and I keep a smile and I keep it on my face because I'm happy to be here and to have these opportunities. But in all honesty, it's a really rough cut. I should be a 130 fighter, not a 125er, not 135er. So if I can get that 135 belt, that's going to make my dream come true.
Hey, Liz. So it seemed like Ilima hurt her leg at some point earlier in the fight. When did you pick up on that, and did you decide that that was something that you were just going to keep pressuring until the fight was over?
Yeah, I would say that I started to really pick up on it towards the end of the second into the third round where I noticed it was bothering her. But I also know that where she wanted to be was on the ground to pull off submissions or slice with elbows. I know how bony and sharp her elbows are. And even if I wasn't worried about getting submitted, an accidental elbow that grazes, that ends a fight. So I was just trying to play it smart, not get in those situations. And I didn't want to overcommit and chase something that would compromise me and put me in a position that would cost me the fight.
You called for a Kana Watanabe rematch in Japan after this. What is your interest in that fight, and why in Japan?
Japan, I grew up in Okinawa, Japan, and it's always been my dream once I got into fighting to go back home. I have not been back to Okinawa since 2006. And that's a really sad idea because there's so many memories I have there, and I love that culture, I love that community, and I want to go back and visit. So it would be my bucket list to be able to fight in Japan. I don't see it happening in Okinawa because it's so small, so it'd have to be mainland Japan. And I think that with Kana's following in Japan, it only makes sense that she could help bring it there and bring a lot of people wanting to show up for it so we can make that fight happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.